Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta, and we are continuing with the standards on auditing. The last standard that we were discussing was SA 220, that is the quality control of an audit of financial statement. Remember the difference between SA 220 and SQC1? Let me remind it to you. SQC1 was the quality control for the entire audit firm, whereas SA 220 is the quality control of an audit of financial statement. That means it is on the engagement level. It is specific to an engagement. It is not pervasive for the entire firm. Right? So before moving on with the lecture, we would give a quick revision of what we have seen in the lecture so far, in the essay so far, because you have to also maintain the connectivity. Right? So, objective of an auditor. That is what we have seen. So what is the objective of an auditor? There are two simple objectives, if you remember. One is compliance with professional standard and the other is the audit report, appropriate audit report. Right? So the objective says to implement quality control procedures at engagement level that provides reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel comply with the professional standard and regulatory and legal requirements, and the report issued by the firm on engagement partner are appropriate in the circumstances. So this was the objective, right? And to crux, what I asked you to remember is that you will have to comply with the professional standard and you will have to deliver an appropriate report. And for that you will have to maintain quality control procedures. Simple as that, right? Next we went on to discuss the requirements to implement the quality control procedure. And the first requirement that we saw, that if you want to implement something, you will have to have leadership. You will have to have somebody to take up the leadership responsibility who can direct the flow. That is when you can reach to an objective. You can reach the destination. You have to be directed to that way. Right? So the leadership responsibility would be taken up by the engagement partner. Right? And then he would have to lay importance to the quality of audit by, if he complies with the professional standard, complying with the firm's quality control policy, issuing appropriate auditor's report, and enabling the engagement team to come up with concerns without fear. Right? And the fact that quality is essential in performing the audit engagement has to be conveyed very clearly. Right? So that is the first requirement, the leadership responsibility of the quality of audit. Moving on, we have the relevant requirements of the ethics. So the relevant ethical requirement. Remember the ethics: IOPCP, integrity, objectivity, professional competency and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Now, so many times I have repeated IOPCP and the words. So even if you have not made notes, even if you have not gone through it, this is already in your brain. Whenever we talk about ethical requirements, you will say IOPCP. Is it or isn't it? You'll agree with me? That is actually the beauty of revising things. When you go through one thing over and over and over again, it seeps down. It goes from your conscious to your unconscious, and you don't even have to think. You don't have to think and go back into your brain to remember what it was. Whenever you talk about ethical requirement, it already automatically pops up. The screen will appear in front of your eyes. Right? Right? So what we actually saw is that we have a code of ethics, which is IOPCP. Right? That is for sure. Now, the engagement partner, the person who has taken up the leadership, has to ensure that IOPCP is always present. Right? So if there is any non-compliance, then he will have to find it out. How do he find it out? How does he find it out? He will have to inquire or observe. So through observation or inquiry, he will have to ensure the presence of IOPCP. Right? And if there is any indication of non-compliance, then he will consider, right? He will discuss it, he will consult it with the firm, right? And also determine the appropriate action for it. That is what we have seen. We have seen it in detail. Then next, whenever we are talking about ethics, we also include independence. So next what we saw was the independence. Ensure independence of the state of mind and appearance of the partner. What is the appearance of state of mind and appearance? So independence in appearance is that you should not have, you should not hold any securities or any kind of such position, right? That would show your that would show that you're not independent, right? And independent state of mind is that you should be independent internally. You should not be biased, right, while you're auditing without because of any reason. You may not be holding security, there may be some other reason. So even that kind of independence has to be ensured, right? So what do? Is first you check whether or not the partner is independent, and for this what you do is you obtain relevant information from the firm and the network firm, right? And if you find a relation that would compromise the independence, then that breach has to be evaluated, right? And determine if it threatens the independence of the engagement. You have seen it at the firm level now, and if that breach is also prevalent in your engagement, right? If it impacts your engagement, then you will have to take appropriate action to eliminate such threat. And if it is not possible to eliminate it, at least reduce it to acceptable level, right? And if there is something that needs proper prompt reporting to the firm, do it, because then an appropriate action would be taken, right? So that was about what we have discussed in the previous lecture. Now we move ahead with the next requirement, that is acceptance and continuance of client relationship and audit engagement. So you will also have to maintain your quality control procedures when you are accepting the client, if it is a new client. And if it is a recurring client, then if you are continuing with the client relationship and the audit engagement, you will have to ensure quality control procedures. So when you are accepting a client, beforehand you will check whether independence criteria have been met, whether the client is fulfilling the preconditions. You remember, acceptance of an audit engagement, you will have to check those things over here as well. Even that will be required to maintain the quality. And if it is a continuing client, then you will have to see whether there was any issue in the past, the previous time when you were there for the audit, right? Is there anything that you had to go over and over with the follow-up with the management, but the management did not provide? For example, maybe the payroll data, the employee file, you had to go over and over, but the management did not provide. So that is an issue. You had to raise that issue. You were not invited to witness inventory count, right? Then you had to purposely undergo some alternate procedure to confirm that yeah, the inventory is going good, right? So if these issues were present, you will have to ensure that they don't occur. You will have to see their impact, whether or not you should accept that client even in the current year. Getting the point? So the engagement partner needs to be satisfied, right, whether appropriate procedures regarding client acceptance and continuance have been followed, right? Like if you want to increase the fees this year, you have a proper arrangement for that. You have communicated and the engagement client entity has agreed to it, right? And then you also have to determine the conclusions reached are appropriate, right? That the procedures have been performed and the conclusion is appropriate. If it is going well, accept the client. And then you will also see, right, that if there is any information that you have obtained that would have caused you to withdraw from the engagement, if you had it earlier, then you will have to promptly communicate it so that you can take proper necessary action for that, right? So these are the requirements for acceptance and continuance of a client relationship and the audit engagements. Next is the assignment of engagement team. Now if you want to actually maintain the quality of the audit or the engagement that you're performing, right, you will have to ensure that there are appropriate personnel who can handle that audit, right? So if you have you have a firm, right? You have 2-3 partners, A, B, C, D. You have 4 managers, A, B, C, D, E, or E, F, G, H, I. Then you have seniors, J, K, L, M, N. Then you have articles, O, P, Q, R, S, T. Right? These are the various names. So when you are selecting the engagement team, what will you do? You will first see the appropriate mixture, that yeah, we have a partner, we have a senior manager, we have a manager, we have 2 executives or a staff accountant, second year, third year, who can manage the audit, right? And how will you decide that how many people from which hierarchy level that you need is when you understand the client, when you understand the entity, right? When you understand the requirement of this audit, right? And then when you are actually selecting the manager or the team, you will also have to see their experiences, right? So for example, if you are undergoing an audit of any manufacturing entity, right, then you will not select the team members who have a good experience in the banking sector. You will pick up those members who have a good experience in the manufacturing client, so that they are able to understand the procedures on the first go. They are able to perform the audit as they have already performed in the past, right? They have performed, they have learned, they have made mistakes, they have been rectified. So there is a whole lot of process that they have undergone already. So all you would want is that those specific personas should go again and perform it in a better way. So while you are assigning the engagement team, these things have to be kept in mind. So the engagement partner, right, he should be satisfied that the engagement team that he's sending and the auditor's expert that he is sending, right, who may be out of the firm, right, they have the competency and capability to do two things. These two things would be the objective again. I told you we would be linking. So they would perform two things. One is they would perform the engagement as per the professional standard, and they would issue a report which is appropriate. And what is this? This is actually the objective that we had seen in the first lecture. Right? So this is how they assign the team. They will have to see the competence and capability of meeting the objectives. Clear with that? Right. Now we move on to the next part, which is the engagement performance. Right? Now this is a wider thing. So we have various sub-parts for this that we'll discuss now. But basically, if you want to maintain the quality control procedure, you will have to go through the entire performance. How is the entire audit being conducted? You will have to supervise, direct, right? You will have to look into the performances of every individual. Review has to be done, consultation has to be performed. There's a lot of things that you will have to do, that the engagement partner as a leader will have to make sure that it is being done. Now, prior to engagement starting, everything has been confirmed already. That relevant ethical requirement is present, independence has been ensured, acceptance and continuance of client relationship has been ensured. We have assigned a relevant or knowledgeable, competent team, right? Now, if they have been there, now is the time of performance. Now is the time when they will act. So this performance will also have to be overseen. Looked over. Right? So we are still left with two more points, but we will go to the next slide where we will in detail discuss the engagement performance. Right? So when we're talking about the engagement performance, the first thing that we'll see is the direction, supervision and the performance. So the engagement partner has to see that he is able to direct the personals to conduct the audit, right, in a particular manner by following the relevant professional standards and the legal requirement, right? Again, this reflects to the objective, if you remember, right? Complying with the professional requirements, professional standards, right? So he will have to ensure, he will have to give them a direction of how to comply with it. He will have to supervise whether or not they're complying with it, right? And he will have to check the performance, whether they are complying with the professional standards. And this will also help him to enable the auditor's report that is appropriate in all circumstances in which it is issued. Right? So basically, direction, supervision and performance, so that the team is able to meet the objective. That is all you need to remember. Forget about what I just said. Just remember that the engagement partner has to direct, supervise and perform the audit in such a manner that he is able to meet the objectives. And you already know what the objective is, so you can frame your answers accordingly. Right? So the next, what we have to actually be concerned with is the review. Right? So whatever is the work that is being performed by the engagement team, right? Although you have directed them how to do it, you are supervising all their work, right? But once they have actually performed it, you will also have to review whether or not they have performed it well, right? So you will have to ensure, the engagement partner will have to ensure that the reviews are being performed, and that review is being performed as per the firm's review policy and procedure. Because if the firm has its own review policy and procedure, then you will always have prepared those policies and procedures keeping in mind the quality control. So it is the safest way to retreat back to the firm's policies and procedure, either for independence, either for your review, either for any other thing. That is the safest option. right? Because you have invested a lot of time while preparing those policies and procedures, and they will obviously comply with the requirements, right? And once your review is done, you will have to be satisfied that, and you are satisfied that the sufficient and appropriate conclusion has been met, right? Sufficient appropriate audit evidences have been taken, and accordingly a good conclusion has been reached, right? Through reviewing the documentation and discussing with the engagement team. Both the activities have been done, right? And a good conclusion has been met. Then you would be satisfied that yes, the work is going on well and the quality of this audit is being maintained, right? But now if there is some issue, right, the engagement team is not able to perform very well and the engagement partner is also confused as to what should be the most appropriate course of action, then what do you do? In that case, you will have to consult. So if partner A, who is the engagement partner for this engagement, undergoes a dilemma, whether should I take this step or this step, whether should I perform this procedure or the other procedure, I am confused, you will not go to the manager, right? Because if you are confused, there's a high probability that yes, even the manager is confused. There is some confusion, right? It is not a very simple funda, it is not a very simple process, it is a critical one. So what you do is you consult B or C, who are the other partners of the firm, senior level, right? People who have knowledge, who have experience. And with that consultation, if you are able to reach a conclusion, well and good. But even over there, if you get confused and you're not able to reach the conclusion, you will have to invite an expert into that particular field. And then you will have to consult with that expert and reach a conclusion. So basically, the engagement partner will ensure that yes, if there is a confusion, the engagement team is ready for consulting, right? And then they should also be confirmed that yeah, the consultation has been done with appropriate people, with appropriate expert, within the scope that has been determined, and then the conclusion that has been made has also been implemented very well. So these are the things that the engagement partner will have to see, right? Then now that issue is resolved, you have taken the consultation, you have acted accordingly, and now you are satisfied. Okay, the issue is resolved. Now, with this, what happened basically is your audit procedure slowly, silently is coming to the end, right? All your performances have been done. You have also reviewed them for critical struck matter. You have also taken consultation and again implemented it. So now you are coming to the end of your audit, right? Your procedures have been performed. Then what happens is the entire audit will be succumbed to a review, right, which is known as the engagement quality control review. Now who does this review? This can be done by B or C, or this can be done by some external person who has an experience in this, right? So engagement quality control review is again a very significant matter, because whatever you may have missed, whatever if there is something that must have skipped from your mind, or that must have skipped in your documentation, that can be tracked by the EQCR, right? That means it is just a reconfirmation, it is a check, a parity check, right, that yes, the quality has been maintained. EQCR we'll be discussing in detail in the next slide, right? Before that, let us come down to the difference of opinion. So if at the end there is a difference of opinion, now difference of opinion between whom? Right? You were performing the audit, right? Your engagement team was doing the major core work at the field, right? And now you have a difference of opinion with the manager, for example. That means the difference of opinion of the engagement partner with the engagement team, or the difference of opinion with those whom you have consulted, either the partner or the external consultant, or the difference of opinion between the engagement partner and the EQCR reviewer. The reviewer says you should have undergone this procedure, that would be more effective. Partner says no, this procedure that I have performed is very well, it is giving me the appropriate conclusion. So there is a disagreement. So whenever such kind of disagreements come in, they flow in, how do you solve? Because the engagement partner himself is included in that disagreement. Who is the next level authority who would resolve this issue? There is no next level authority. So what you do is you will follow the firm's policy for this, right? And the procedure for dealing with the for dealing with the situation and resolving the differences in opinion. The firm will have a policy that if you struck in such a circumstance, how would you come out of it? Right? And now we are left with the discussion of the engagement quality control review. Let us go to the slide to get into a detailed discussion on that. Now, what is engagement quality control review? Right? In our firm, basically, like in the big fours, you generally do not go out of the firm because you have very experienced partners in the firm itself. So if one partner is undergoing an audit, has undertaken an engagement, the EQCR is generally performed by some other partner of the same entity, right? Because they are very experienced people. That is why they are the partners of the big four, right? So when you have expertise in-house, you do not go outside, right? Now, what is this engagement quality control review? Let us see. The first thing you need to understand is, when do you get into an engagement quality control review? The first condition for that is if you are a listed entity. That is a compulsion for you. And even if you are not a listed entity, but somewhere in the law, in the regulation, in the requirement, somewhere it is specified that yes, you will have to undergo the EQCR, or if that has been decided in the scope, right, that has been included in the LOE or pronouncement of ICAI, says that yeah, these entities, they will have to undergo EQCR, then you will also have to perform the EQCR, right? Now, what happens in EQCR basically? Now, if you want to undergo an EQCR, what is the first step? As we have said, that you need a EQCR. Now, that does not mean you need a review. You need a reviewer. Who would review it? Right? Either you pick up a partner from your own firm who has that expertise, or you move out of the firm and get help from some experts. Right? So basically, the engagement partner, he shall determine who will be the reviewer. And for that, he will have to apply his professional judgment that yeah, this is the industry, this is the specific situation, this is where even I am confused with, and I would want somebody to review and give me a guidance on that. So I would go to some person who is specialized in that particular area, in the particular concept that I need review in. Right? So even if you want to do it with some other partner in the firm, you will have to decide which partner contains expertise in this particular field. That is how you determine the reviewer. And once you have determined the reviewer, you will approach him, you will take an appointment that okay, I want my engagement to be reviewed by you. So please block your calendars, get some time out and do the review. And that review has to be completed before the date of report. So this is the date, I have already completed my engagement, I am undergoing the closure, right? We are finalizing the work papers, the documents, we are preparing the audit file and stuff. So please give us some relevant date between the next week somewhere, so that we can finalize and close with the EQCR, so that we are in a position to issue the report, right? And then the EQCR will give you the date. EQCR, by EQCR I mean the engagement quality control reviewer, right? That reviewer will give you the date. Okay, on this date let us sit, and with all the completed work papers, with all the documents, with the final set of financial statements and everything, I need all the supportings, I need everything, right? And then you go over there, you sit with the reviewer, and then the reviewer will go through all the process. He will go through everything, right? And then he will see, okay, this is where you need to rectify, or everything is going well, then he will say it's okay, right? And this has to be completed before the date of report, right? Now basically, what is it? What do you discuss? What are the matters that the EQCR will evaluate? Even that is the point of discussion. So the EQC reviewer, he will evaluate the discussions, right? So he will evaluate his own discussion with the engagement team, right? If he wants to know about, if he wants to know the fact behind any procedure that we have performed, why have we performed that procedure, or how have we performed that procedure, he would discuss it with the engagement team, and that discussion will be reviewed by him. Okay, that person did this way. Okay, it's good, let's go ahead with it, right? Then after holding the discussion with the engagement team, he would go through the entire final set of financial statement and the audit report, the draft audit report that you have prepared, that you are actually looking forward to issue. So on the face, he will have the entire financial, he will flip through it. Okay, the non-current liabilities, current liabilities are in place, the current asset, non-current assets are in place. P&L, okay. Cash flow statement, okay. Notes, relevant notes are there. These are the requirements. Okay, and okay. The statement of change in equity is also performed. So if everything is going good, he'll say it's done. Your financials are in a position to be issued, right? And then he'll again go through the report and see what are the relevant matters that they have included, and if there is any emphasis on matter paragraph or other matter paragraph or any qualification, he will see the reasonability as well. And he will also discuss with the team what basis have you created for this qualification or this emphasis on matter paragraph. He will also go through the background and understand, okay, you can go ahead with this qualification or with this emphasis, right? After he has gone through the financial statements and the report, he will also go through the documents that you have prepared. The engagement team, right, whenever they are performing the act, they will always document it, because work not documented is work not done. So everything has to be documented, right? So like, I don't know about very small firms, they don't maintain the proper documentation, but in big fours, documentation is a prime thing you are being focused on, right? Your quality of work paper, the content, the presentation, everything is important. It is divided into parts, right? And that is actually what is the requirement of SA 230 documentation. We would refer to that when we are doing SA 230, right? So they will go through all your documents where you have written that, yeah, this is the purpose of this work paper. This is what we have checked, right? You will have all the columns, you will have all the checkings, you will have all the attachments over there, or all the relevant documents. And then at the bottom you will conclude that, yes, as per the conclusion, this, whatever is the conclusion. So he will go through all the documents to see whether you have documented everything very properly. If there is any deficiency he finds, he will notify that, yeah, I think the work paper on inventory or the fixed asset has to be prepared in a better way, right? The FAR, fixed asset register, on the basis of which you have prepared your depreciation sheet, I think there is an issue with that. Please go ahead with it. Refine it further. Give little more details, right? So that is what he would decide. And then after the work papers, he would also evaluate the conclusions met. The conclusions read, okay, this is what evidences you gathered, this is what you have concluded. I think your conclusion should be based on this also. I think this should be the additional evidence that you should take. This is how the review goes on actually, right? So he will evaluate the conclusion, and then he would consider whether the proposed audit report is okay. And in the first place, he has seen the face of the report. Now he will, after going through your documentation and conclusion, he will say, okay, your report is going beautiful, right? Now this is generally for all the entities where you have the EQCR, Engagement Quality Control Review. But if it is specifically a listed entity, you have some other additional consideration. That is, you will evaluate the firm's independence. Because basically, if you are not a listed entity, you have to evaluate the independence of the engagement partner only, or all the partners only. But over here, you will have to evaluate the independence of the entire firm. Like in Big Four, even we are being sent to the mail that, yes, this is a new client. Please check your independence for that. At the end, we sign a document that, yeah, we sign a document of independence. Everybody, even the executive, even the articles, they have to sign the document of independence at the listed clients, right? And then he'll ensure that you have undergone appropriate consultation if there is any difference in opinion, if there is any difficult matters that you have encountered, or for the purpose of conclusion that you have made. Right? If you are at anywhere even 1% unsure of what you are saying or what you are going ahead with, please consult the same. So he will see whether the consultations have been made and that is appropriate. Right? Appropriate means if you are consulting about inventory, right, or fixed asset, you would consult with some relevant person like the cost accountant. You will not consult it with the company secretary. Right? If you have something, some discussion or consultation on the legal and professional expenses and litigation, you will consult a lawyer. For employee benefit, you will consult an actuary, right? So you will see whether the consultations have been made are appropriate, and are all those consultations, all those documents, all those references, the discussions, are they documented properly? Because you will have to give a basis that, okay, if I have taken this decision, it is based on the report of this expert. Although you are responsible, although the auditor is responsible for all his conclusion, but still he will have a backup. at the end of the day, that yes, that was not my judgment, that was the judgment of the expert. So please rely on that. He is an expert in that field. Right? And at last we are again back to the same: follow firm's policy to resolve the difference in opinion that arise either with the engagement team, with those consulted, or between the engagement partner and the EQCR. Right? So this is the entire process of the engagement quality control review. I hope this is very clear with you, right? And this is very relevant also. So going to the previous slide, we have done the engagement performance. Now we are left with monitoring and documentation, right? And then we'll have to revise the entire essay so that you get the links, because now you are preparing the essay in chunks, in bits, in pieces. Okay, we are talking about engagement performance, we are talking about monitoring, we are talking about documentation, but we are talking about each point individually. At the end of the essay, I will get you connected to the entire flow, right? So let us keep this class limited to this point. Monitoring and documentation will be taken up in the next lecture, and also in the next lecture we'll conclude the entire essay. So please stay tuned for the next lecture. Until then, this is Abhinav Gupta signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.